Hello everyone. So I have a question for you. What truly makes your heart sing? What are you most passionate about? Are you expressing that somewhere in your life so that your heart feels fully acknowledged and heard and expressed? Or are you suppressing it because of some story you've told yourself saying that you can't? So today I want to share with you some things about the mind-body connection as it relates to the health of your heart. And this is something that I did recently in a class, and I thought you could benefit from what I shared in that class. So what I'm drawing on a lot is from the traditional Chinese medicine model, which has been around for thousands of years. And if you're very familiar with it, then it talks about the meridians of the body as well as the 5-element theory. And one of the meridians is the heart meridian. So when we look at that through the traditional Chinese medicine system, then we can learn a lot about the mind-body relationship and looking at ourselves as a whole being, spiritual, energetic, emotional, mental aspects of ourselves, not just the physical form, because we're more than just a physical body. We're a whole complex being. So when you look at creating greater health and vitality for your heart, the physical organ, you have to look at all of these other aspects of yourself and your life. And so the 5-element theory and traditional Chinese medicine can really help us with that. So when we're looking at the heart and the 5 elements, then through the Chinese system, then it's associated with the element of fire. And that's also associated or correlated with the color of red. So the heart is red, the blood is red. When we think of the emotion of passion, of what truly makes your heart sing, what you're really passionate about, we associate that emotion with red. And if you are not allowing yourself to express that, then you're suppressing the energy, and it could turn inward and spiral downward into a death or destruction cycle. And that also corresponds to then the emotion of anger, because we're not allowing something to be expressed. So that emotion of anger is also associated with red. And sometimes when people feel very strongly about something, very passionate, then there's kind of a fine line between what's perceived as really passionate or angry. But either way, it's associated with the color of red. So I'm going to read to you a little bit out of this book called Aromatherapy Healing for the Spirit. If you can see it very well. It's a very good reference book, and it's written by a guy named Gabriel Moget. And he gives a little bit of a synopsis of what we can look at in terms of fire as it relates to the heart. So emotions that are associated with fire and heart are joy, awareness and self-identity, harmony and love, being sensitive, well-integrated and joyful. Also, being nervous and anxious and agitated and hypersensitive, despondent and lacking self-esteem. So if you are not allowing yourself to be truly you and are expressing what feels most enjoyable and passionate and important to you in your life, then you can spiral down into the shadow side of this element, which is the nervousness, the anxiety, the feeling despondent and lacking of self-esteem. So when we're looking at this, and something that's very important to ask yourself is, who are you truly? Are you who your parents and the media and your educational system and your religion or all the other outside voices and sources told you of who you're supposed to be, of how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to respond, how you're supposed to relate to people, what kind of job you're supposed to do, what kind of income you're supposed to have, how you're supposed to eat, all of the different entertainment types of media and information you're supposed to enjoy. All of that is from outside sources telling you how society wants you. Have you fallen into that and are living your life more from that place? Or are you in touch with who you are as a true spiritual creative being that's unique, that's here in life to experience and express and create So what are you going to create? Something that other people told you you're supposed to do, or what you really feel in your heart is your truth of what you're most passionate and excited about. So if you are not allowing yourself that expression, then you're creating problems for yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, and you're allowing the energy of your energy system, which you are, your energy system starts to congest and get suppressed. And the energy can't move because you're not allowing it to move, because you're denying the true desires and truths of your heart. So what happens is that energy backs up and congests, and it creates a lot of tension in the muscles and your fascia and your tissues of your rib cage, your shoulders, the rhomboids in between your shoulder blades. And it creates just a lot of tension where you're withholding joy from yourself. And so your heart hardens and closes up. You've got a lot of tension in your back and shoulders because you're not allowing things to move. So my suggestion for you is to really ask yourself, observe and look at your life. Is that how you're doing your life? And if so, how is that working for you? I would suggest, or I would suppose, that it's probably not working very well. So a couple of things that I see, I've done body work, massage therapy forever, and I see lots of times people will come in and they have very rounded shoulders. Their posture is horrible because they've got a lot of curvature in their upper spine and they're like holding themselves kind of forward. And that to me is an indication of many things. One of which is that they are protecting their heart. They are not allowing their heart to open and express the true joys, what truly makes them happy, what truly makes them feel alive and inspired and impassioned. Somewhere along the line, they've had some experiences that have hurt them or created trauma, pain, whatever, or they've been told things that weren't true about themselves that they believed. And so now they're guarding their heart and they're closing down and protecting themselves and creating a lot less energy flow of life force energy through their chest area, their lungs, the backside of their upper back. And unless or until that person can learn how to open their heart and heal the wounds of their heart, then the structure of their body is going to stay like this. The fascia, the muscles, are going to be trained to hold themselves in this closed down protective state, and it creates a lot of tension in the back. Another thing that I see a lot of is, and this is primarily with guys, where again, it's going the opposite direction, but it's still all about protecting the heart. They have to get all beefed up and have this monstrous muscles and chest and shoulders and arms, and it's armoring. It's literally creating armor on the body to close off themselves from feeling their heart, from feeling whatever their emotions are that they don't want to feel themselves because they don't trust it or they don't know how to feel, and they don't want to express those feelings outward into the world. They don't want to really show who they truly are. They have to think they think that they have to be this big He-Man, macho man with all this big muscle mass. And it's just not authentic, number one. And number two, for me, it's really not that attractive to have such an overbuild of upper chest muscles, shoulders, because it's so obvious protection. And it just doesn't work. So look at that for yourself. Is that how you are responding to things in your life? Have you shut your heart down because you have allowed yourself to be hurt, or you've experienced things where you've been hurt and you haven't learned how or don't know how, or you're afraid to delve into what it takes to unfreeze and thaw that frozen emotion, that frozen pain, the tears that get stuck in your shoulders and in your rib cage and in the top of your shoulders, to allow that emotional energy in your body to thaw and begin to move so that you can get in touch again with what's most important to you, what brings fire to you in passion, in interest, the deepest desires of your heart. Because unless or until you can tap into that and do something with that and express that into your life, you're not going to be fully fulfilled. You won't feel it. You'll feel like something's missing, or that you missed the boat, or that you didn't do as much as you could do. You didn't live as fully, because you're not. You're not expressing the true core of you. So look at that and see how you're doing. Also, what happens is that can create a lot of depression, because you're suppressing your energy, you're suppressing your life force, you're suppressing your truth. In the traditional Chinese medicine, then they look at the body and the energy system in terms of triple burners. So the bottom burner is in the pelvic area, in our genitals, in our co-creative energy area. And that's like the raw creative fires of creation, to create life force, to create babies, to reproduce. And then going further up the trunk in our abdomen, with our digestive organs, then we have the digestive fires, heat that's required to digest our food. And then to push the nutrients through the intestinal lining into the bloodstream so that it can be carried throughout the body. And then as the digestion happens and continues, and the sweetness, the nutrients, the goodness of that digestive fire, the fruits of the food has gone into the body, then that also draws the energy up into our third triple burner, which is our heart. Again, fire of what's important to you, what are you most passionate about, what do you truly believe. And so we can look at the relationship between our digestive fire and our heart fire, and how they're feeding each other or talking to each other. If you are not feeding your body with proper healthy nutrition, I'm a big proponent of plant-based nutrition or plant-based diet, taking out all of the garbage, taking out all of the excess animal product, which creates a lot of mucus and inflammation in the body, and eating real food that the earth created, not some manufacturing that created, or not manufacturing plant that created, something that you pull out of a box. I call it pretend food, because it's been adulterated, it's been processed too much, there's no nutritional value in it. The natural flavors and colorings of the food have been lost, and so they put pretend flavors, pretend colorings in forms of fake chemicals back into the food, and you have this food stuff thing that doesn't do your body any good. It's very detrimental, and it creates more disease and havoc and chaos in the body than nutrition. So if that is something that you're feeding your body with, and you're asking your digestive fire to break that stuff down, that's a lot of energy that your body is exerting that is not getting hardly anything in return from it, other than toxicity. There's no nourishment. And so it can be, the digestive fires can get either out of whack, either too high, too much fire, or too much heat to try and digest all of this. Or on the flip side, if you don't have enough stomach acid, if there's not enough digestive fires, then you're going to have problems, again, digesting and absorbing your food. And that's going to affect how your heart fire is going to be able to function, because there's not the sweetness, the joy, the nourishment that's circulated into the bloodstream to eventually go to your heart. Another thing that you can look at with this, and I talk about this a lot, is, again, getting back to who are you really? Who are you expressing yourself as? Your true self, or your pretend self, I call it, or your ego identity, which is your identity that's built upon the opinions and agendas and criteria of everyone else outside of you, of who society and your parents and family and friends and everybody else want you to be, as opposed to who you actually are. And so if you are living more from an ego personality place, you can correlate that with feeding that fake identity, I call it, or that ego identity. You feed and maintain that ego, fake identity with fake food, with pretend fast foods, overly processed crap that has no nourishment to it. So look at that and see how you're doing. On the flip side, if you're operating more from, or your intention is to express your true self as much as possible, your true heart's desires, what makes you feel alive and what makes your heart sing, you can correlate that with eating real, actual food that the earth made from fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds, actual real plant-based food to nourish your body in an authentic, real, healthy way, which also supports the expression of you as a creative spiritual being, of who you actually really are. So when we're talking about the health heart, then there's a big discussion about who are you really? Who are you being? Have you bought into the lies and stories of everyone else in society and you're operating your life that way and you're running the program of what society has told you about, of how you're supposed to get an education and the type of job you're supposed to do so you can earn some kind of income for a corporation to make them rich at your expense? Or are you living your life more based upon what's true to you, to allowing yourself to be fully expressed of what your heart truly tells you, and going out on your own, being willing to take some risks, learn how to generate your own income so that you can be free from trading time for dollars, so that you can create and express and contribute your unique gifts to the world and generate your income that way, which gives you unlimited potential as to what you can do and create, the impact that you can do, the amount of help that you can offer people, the amount of income that you can do. There's no ceiling to it, as opposed to working for a corporation or working for somebody else who dictate your schedule and who dictate how much they think you are worth financially. So there's a lot of different things that can go into this conversation. But at bottom line, it comes down to, who are you really being? Are you being true to yourself, or have you sold out on yourself? And when you do sell out on yourself, or when you've gotten off track, then pay attention to how you're feeling, because those are your barometers. If you are spinning out into the downward spiral of feeling nervous, anxious, agitated, hypersensitive, despondent, depressed, lacking self-esteem, that's a telltale sign to you that your innate being telling you that you are off track, that you have gotten out of touch with your joy, with what makes you truly happy, with what your true identity is. You're not expressing that. So look at that dynamic and how you can enhance that or get back on track if you've gotten off. Okay? Another thing that we want to look at in terms of the heart and how everything functions is the heart's always beating, it's pumping blood. It's a rhythmic pumping blood. And then the blood system, the circulatory system, in the veins, then there's little valves that open and close, kind of like it's the heartbeat of moving and pumping blood all through out the body. And it pushes blood out to the exterior of your body when there's too much heat to cool you off, to let you sweat, to open the pores, to allow wastes and gases and everything to leave your body. And then when it's cold or other times during the day, then the circulation, your blood comes back into the core, especially like after you've eaten, to digest food. So there's always this outer flow and then this inner flow, outer and inner. And it's like a breath and a rhythmic breathing, that your heart's pumping, the blood is going to that exterior and to the interior. And so look at that again as a metaphor for how you're doing your life. On the outflow, the expression, the expansion, are you going out into the world and expressing your truth, serving people, contributing, making a difference, making life better, being who you really are? And then when you're done with that, then for that time of the day or that season, then it's time to withdraw, to come back to yourself, to fill up your own cup and nurture you and get in touch again with you, of who you really are, and connect with your spiritual source, connect with your innate knowingness and wisdom of what else you can create. Is there things from your experience that you've experienced out here in the world that you need to modify, that you need to release and let go, that you need to just tweak so that you're more and more and more in alignment as best as you can be with who you really are? So it's like this outflow, this out, this in, this out, this in. Just like the day and then night, springtime and winter. Springtime, there's always this breathing in and out, the pumping of the blood. And so it's this natural rhythm of life itself. Are you moving in harmony with it? Or are you moving against it, which is going to create problems? Or, even worse, are you trying to stop it and block it and be rigid and frozen? And that's going to create a lot of problems for you in every area of your life, including your physical health. So learn to flow and be open. And in order to do that, that requires that our heart is open, that we've healed our heart. We allow people to see it, rather than armoring it with all of this muscle mass, which kind of looks ridiculous because it's in excess. I'm not saying men don't want to be built out, but I'm saying in excess it looks ridiculous because it's so obvious that they're armoring themselves. Or are you heart closing down and protecting yourself because you can't allow yourself to delve into your heart, allow it to open so that you can really feel your emotions, so you can feel and allow life force to move through you, to breathe through you, through the in and the out, the rhythm that life is, that's always there. It never stops. There's always the in and out flow. Can you move in harmony with it? Without argument, without expectations, without agenda. Just simply allow the movement of life force to move you. So that's something to ask yourself and to consider too. So there's a couple other things I wanted to share with you in terms of the heart. There's been a lot of work done in quantum physics and in science to really understand the nature of energy, especially including the human body energy system. And it's been known for decades. It's not really taught in the mainstream arenas and in school because they don't want to change the curriculum. That does not mean, though, that truths are out there and that science has proved things about the human body and the energy system. And what has been known for a very long time is that if there are places in your energy system that's congested or blocked, or where there's too much energy or not enough energy, that creates chaos, disruption and agitation in your being, in your energy system. And if there's chaos and agitation in your energy field, the cells of your body who breathe that energy, who draw upon that energy to help them stay alive and to function, if they're drawing in agitated, chaotic energies from your energy system, what do you think the physical functioning and health of your cells are going to be? Not very good. So your nervous systems, the nerves of your body, your hormones, the chemistry, everything in your body is going to perceive and sense this agitation, that something's not right, because energetically you are not right. You're out of sorts with yourself. You're not being congruent with who you are. You're blocking something, or there's a deficiency or an excess somewhere. And that's what Chinese medicine really focuses on and teaches a lot about, because they've known about the energy system of the body for thousands of years. And so look to that. If you will have some questions, you can always ask me. I also have a newsletter that I send out where I talk about stuff like this and how you can deal with or approach your life from a holistic standpoint, from a mind, body, spirit standpoint. So if you want my newsletter, then I'll tell you how to get on that. So chaotic energies are found within the body, and they are the source of disease. They're the original source, because first we are energetic beings before we are physical beings. So if there's energetic chaos and agitation and disruption, your cells in the tissues of your body are going to respond to that agitation, and their functioning is going to be diminished. They're not going to be able to thrive and divide and do everything that they need to do as optimally as they could be. And then when you couple that with hideous food choices of fake food, processed food, nutrient dead food, GMO crap, that creates additional agitation and chaos in your body on top of what's energetically there. And all of that is like a storm waiting to happen. That sets the stage for inflammation, for chemical imbalances, and everything else that science has found is in terms of of what they've learned about the progression and creation of disease. So they study very well about how it's progressed, but we want to look at what to do to not even go down that road. And so this is where the mind-body connection and relationship and understanding of looking at your life from a holistic viewpoint really is valuable. So when you have chaotic energies in the body, like I said, that's what sets you up ultimately for disease of some kind in your life, in your body, if you do not address it. So how can you address it? Your lifestyle, your mindset, how optimistic you are. What are you eating? What are you putting in your mouth? Are you drinking real liquids, or are you drinking sugary crap that's going to destroy your body and your tissues and your liver and your kidneys? What kind of information are you bringing in on a daily basis? The music, the media, the stuff that you read, the stuff that you listen to, the conversations that you have with people. Are they life enhancing, or are they negative, detracting, criticizing, berating, full of hate, full of fear? What are you doing? What are you doing? How are you living? Is your heart open? Or are you coming from an argumentative place where you want to separate and divide and criticize and spread hate? That's not going to feed the health of anything or anyone, including you. And ultimately, it's going to shut down your heart because you're full of hate and fear. So check yourself. Let's do some assessments, do some meditations, and see how you are living your truth or not. And if you're not, then take some steps to do so. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to share with you is that I have a book called The Healing Code, and it's written by a man named Dr. Alexander Lloyd, and he talks all about the chaotic energies in the body and how that sets you up for physical problems, health problems, relationship problems, even financial problems. Just train wrecks in any area of your life all originate from chaotic, disruptive energies in your energy system, because that's where you are operating your life from. You're broadcasting out that chaos energetically, and then you get experience that chaos physically, whether it's through chaotic physical health, chaotic financial health, chaotic relationship health. So, in the Healing Code, then Dr. Lloyd was talking about this concept that he calls it the 3-1 things. And he says the one thing, number one, is that there is one thing on planet Earth that can heal almost every problem in your life. That's a pretty strong statement. And that is the immune system and the natural innate healing systems of the body. The body knows what it needs to do in order to maintain health and balance and cohesiveness and harmony. And when we interrupt with that and interfere with that and think that we know more than the body, then we create problems, which leads us to one thing, number two. And that says there is one thing on planet Earth that will turn off one thing, number one, and that is stress. So it's well known that there's so much stress in the world, and it's well documented that stress is the number one cause or leading contributing cause to physical disease. And the stress has its origins in the chaotic energies within your energy system, with your mental, emotional, psychological makeup of how you are living your life. Are you being true to you, or are you out of congruency and out of harmony with that? That sets up the basis, the foundation of everything. Okay, and then one thing number 3, he says, is there is one thing on planet Earth that will turn one thing number 1, or your immune system, back on. And that is to heal the issues of your heart. And that's where we run into problems because we don't know how. We're afraid to. It means we have to actually feel pain, grief, anger, judgment, criticism, all of the things that have closed our heart down. If you want the energy to move through your heart so that you can access who you really are, you have to get the debris and the garbage, the waste, out of the way. That's a basic principle that's applied on every area of life. And emotionally, it's no different. You've got to heal your heart and allow it to open so that you can feel and express joy. Whenever you feel that, the joy, the happiness, the harmony, the love, the uplifting, higher vibrational energies, your body makes corresponding chemicals for each of those emotions. And that also informs your immune system to operate more optimally at a higher level of functioning. Conversely, when you're feeling the downward spiral of things, of the nervousness, the anger, the fear, the judgment, the criticism, all of the nasty stuff, feeling agitated, hypersensitive, having no self-esteem, no confidence, again, your body is making chemicals for all of those emotions. And that's another conversation I can go into, but that chemistry keeps your body in a lower state. It keeps your immune system suppressed. It keeps you in stress, in chaos. It keeps your body shut down and closed off from being open to thriving, to receiving love and abundance and prosperity. It keeps you from flowing, the breathing that I mentioned earlier. When your heart is closed because you can't heal the emotional pain that's there, then you freeze up. And that's what creates the chaos in your energy system and ultimately in your physical health if you don't do anything about it. So, we want to learn how to open our heart. One of the biggest gifts of that is that we move into greater joy and love. And that allows us to be in touch with what truly makes our heart sing. What are we truly passionate about? So the last thing I want to cover about this in terms of your heart and your immune system is that in the endocrine system, the glands of the endocrine system, the gland of the thymus sits right behind the heart. It's kind of like in relationship to your heart. And what that gland does is that you can call it educates the white blood cells of your immune system. So your immune system is what goes around, there's various cells in your immune system. One of them is the white blood cells. And they go around the body, circulating in the blood, around in the tissues, between the cells and all the little nooks and crannies of yourself. And they look for what is self, what is not self. And again, this goes right back to the conversation of who are you being? Are you being your true authentic self as a spiritual creative being? Or are you living from your pretend personality, your ego of what everyone else taught you to believe that you are supposed to be? So your immune system is a direct reflection of that definition of self that you have chosen. Your immune system listens to whether or not your heart is open and whether or not you are operating from your true self or your pretend self. And it functions accordingly. So when the white blood cells and the macrophages is what they're called, when they're young and developed, then they go and spend some time in your thymus, and that's where they're educated to know how to recognize self or not self. Again, based upon what you have chosen for yourself to be. And then from there, then after they've been programmed into recognizing self and not self, and they go about your body and looking for not self, the toxins, the foreign proteins, microorganisms, molds, critters, bugs, fungus, you name it, and break them down, absorb them, do what the body needs to do to eliminate them out of the body. So there's a direct correlation there. Your immune system listens to everything that you're saying. Additionally, 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. Again, going back to our earlier conversation of what are you feeding yourself? Are you feeding yourself real food or pretend food? Are you making it harder for your body to function because you're not nourishing it? Or are you giving it real actual food that's in alignment with truth and nature, and it's in alignment with who you are, with it, that's in alignment with how your body is built to function? So everything lines up. Your identity, your mindset of how you've decided you're going to be, how you feed yourself, how your immune system functions and how it reads what's self and not self, and then how your body functions according to what you give it, how you nourish it. So there's all of these different layers, and it can become a very complex conversation. I'm just giving you some brief things here, but take some time today and really look at how are you living your life? Who are you being? And how is that trickling down into every area of your life? How open is your heart? Do you have immune system problems? Are you suppressing it because of stress? Because of how you're living? Because you're out of congruency with yourself? How is your relationships? How is your diet? How is your money flow? Look at all that. And in every area of your life, if you feel like there's a deficiency there, it's because you're deficient in giving you to that area of your life. You're withholding your energy or your spirit. You're withholding what makes you alive, what makes you most passionate, what you're truly believing of yourself, your true heart's desires. You're withholding that, and it's showing up in that aspect or area of your life. You're creating a deficiency in your money flow. You're creating a deficiency in loving, supportive relationships because you, the source of it all, are not being true to you, and you've closed down your heart. So look at that. I'd love to hear what you thought of all of this, or conclusions or observations that you've made of things that you can do differently based upon what I've shared with you. And if you'd like to know more of this, if you like this kind of content, learning about the mind-body spirit connection and the bird's eye view of living life holistically and being the best you can be in all areas, then contact me, find out more how you can learn from the information that I share. Get on my newsletter, follow my YouTube channel. You can find me on Facebook. Subscribe to this channel, share it with other people who you feel could benefit from this. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.